Hey folks, welcome. This is Gently Chaotic Knits and my name is Emily, and I normally talk to you here in a kind of long form video podcast format about my knitting and sometimes other crafting and what I'm up to in my life and a variety of other things. And sometimes you get to see my pup Norman, who is on the couch with me today, and I can try to point him out. Let's see. There he is, licking his paws. Are you gonna say hello? We've got a little bit of sun today. Let me see if I can get this back at a good angle. We've got a little bit of sun actually today, which is kind of surprising for February in Seattle, Washington, which is where I live with my husband and our pup Norman, who is now leaving us, which I'm actually quite surprised by because the sunniest spot, of course, in our house right now is right on this couch, which is where I always record. And so the light may be weird. You can see like the light is here, down here, but it's not on my face. But if I scoot over, like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure the light's gonna move throughout the time that I am chatting with you all, so we'll see. But yeah, I am really happy to be chatting with you all today. I feel like there have been lots of times in the last couple weeks that I was like thinking about recording and then it just like didn't quite happen. I think I've had lots of energy for other things, and like, not to say that I don't have energy for sitting down and chatting with you all, but I think I've been really feeling excited about a new hobby that I've picked up that I will share some more about with you all as well. But I also think that this is the first time I am recording since cutting my hair quite short. So that, I guess, is a change that is somewhat noteworthy that I can share with you all. Not a big like story there other than I was just feeling like I needed a change. So I made a change. But now I'm thinking like, have I recorded since then? If I have and you've seen this before, then I'm sorry for that. I think I recorded right before I got it cut, so I think, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah. I think I already said this, but my name is Emily, and I think I also already said this, but this is called Gently Chaotic Knits, and if you're new, you probably are now realizing why it's called that. But normally I make like pretty complete notes, including like all the sizing and yardage, and not yardage, but like yarn and needle size and like all that information for myself when I record. And sometimes even though I write down all that information, I still forget to talk about it. But today I feel like I had so much to talk about and I was like ready to record, and I was like, I don't want to take the time to write all of this out, so I just jotted down some very quick notes and we're just gonna see how it goes. I've got lots of really fun stuff I feel like to talk about today. I'm realizing the first thing I wanted to talk about I don't even have with me, so I'm gonna be right back. Okay, I'm back. I was so excited when I was running away that I like ran into the corner of our like banister and like kind of hurt my hip, and it's fine. I'm fine, but that I have a lot of energy I think today. Do you want to come back? Come here. Don't you want the sunny spot? Come in. Okay. I don't know what he's up to today. I'm gonna take a sip. Also, how cute is this mug? If you'll know me, you know I really love graph paper. I know that this is just like window pane is like a pattern. It's like common in like fabrics and textiles and stuff. But every time I see anything like this, I always think graph paper. And I saw this at I think it was at Renegade Market, which is like a big craft market festival that was in Seattle at the end of last year. And was it the end of last year? I think it was in December. And Jess from La Mercerie, who I work with at La Mercerie, bought this for me. Which is very sweet, and so it's one of my very favorite mugs now. I'm drinking this morning one of my favorite teas I actually got for the first time, I think when I was in Paris, when I was studying abroad in college. And I wasn't studying abroad in Paris. I don't know if this is interesting. Y'all probably don't care about this, but I was studying abroad in Italy, but my friend and I that were studying abroad together decided to extend our trip after our study abroad period was over, and so we went to London and Paris as well. And when I was in Paris, I went to this really cute little tea shop. I don't remember what it's called. I got this tea. It's called BB Detox. I don't know. It just smelled really good, and it's like a green tea that has some really like bright flavors. My favorite type of tea is a flavored green tea. That's like my kind of wheelhouse. So that's what I'm drinking this morning. I can already tell, I think because it's winter and like it's dry anyway, that like talking for an hour is definitely gonna make my mouth dry. So I may have to take more sip breaks today. Okay, we're ready. I feel like this has already been too long before like getting into it, but I've got quite a bit to share with y'all. It's been a little bit, I have been pretty like monogamous and focused on just a couple of projects. Oh, I guess I'm literally all over the place today. First I can tell you I am wearing, this is the Cumulus blouse, and I knit it in, sorry, my brain is just like, blah, blah. I knit it in Explorer Knits and Fibers Suri silk. So they're like Suri alpaca silk lace weight base in the colorway linen. And honestly, normally I'm like a cool neutrals person rather than like a warm neutrals person. And this is definitely on the warmer side. And I really like it. I don't know. It's a very pretty neutral, I think. And it feels amazing. Honestly, like sitting in the sun a little bit here, like it's really, really cold here in Seattle. It's in like the low 30s Fahrenheit, like 32, 33, around, I guess that's around 0 Celsius. And so I put on like a really nice warm sweater today, but I've got like 2 layers of pants on and everything, but like sitting in the sun, I'm actually getting a little bit warm. So we'll see. I may have to do a outfit change at some point if I get too hot. But I'm gonna actually talk about what I have made and what I'm making right now, because I feel like that's what people are here for, and that's what I should be talking about. So another sip. And then we're going right into it. Okay, I am counting it as like 2 finished objects, but I guess one of them isn't really a finished object, but one definitely is. And I told y'all I was gonna record again after I finished my mom's sweater, and I finished my mom's sweater. So this is the dad sweater pattern, which is a pattern by me. And I have talked about this pattern extensively, and so I'm not gonna go into it a ton here. If you're interested in more information about this pattern, of course, like I'll link the information below and you can find out everything on my website and on the Ravelry page and everything. But also just like go back, if you pick a random episode of mine from the past, chances are I'm talking about this sweater because I am obsessed with it, and it was like a long process and everything. So anyway, but I designed this sweater pattern based on some sweaters that my dad wore when I was young and still wears. And after I knit one for myself for the sample for the pattern, and I also knit one for my dad, I decided that everyone in my family needs one as well, so we can all wear dad sweaters together. So I decided throughout this year I'm gonna knit them for the rest of my family. So at the very least for my mom and my 2 siblings, so my brother and my sister. I kind of decided I was gonna try to do it for my family's birthdays, although my mom and my brother's birthday are like kind of early in the year and my sister's is quite a bit later, and that feels unfair. So I'm wondering now, I'm starting to think about, should I knit hers sooner? I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter if I have it finished, like if I give it to her like in the summer or something, because she's not going to wear it in the summer. So I don't know. I still have to think about that. But I finished my mom's, and here it is. I have not woven in the ends. I have not blocked it yet, partly because I'm not going to give it to her for a while. I'm trying to work quite a bit ahead just in case like I lose mojo, or in case I get a lot of excitement and energy for another project. I want to like try to have these finished quite a bit before each of my family members' birthdays, just to give myself some wiggle room and buffer. And so I did finish this, I think maybe like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. And my mom's birthday isn't until like mid to late March, and my parents are actually coming to visit us in March, and so I'm planning to just give it to her then. It'll be good timing with her birthday, and then I won't have to ship it and everything. So I finished this. I wanted to get the finished measurements for size 4 broad shoulder. So this pattern also has broad shoulder and standard shoulder size ranges, and they're like kind of separate patterns. And it's basically just according to men's and women's sizing charts. My mom actually preferred the roomier shoulder, so she asked for a broad shoulder size. She wanted the exact same size that my dad wanted. Actually, she like tried his on and was like, this is great. So anyway, I wanted to get the finished measurements for this size 4 broad shoulder. However, I knit this in a different yarn than the original. So my pattern is written with La Bien-Aimée Corey worsted as the suggested yarn, and that's what I used for the first 2 samples for mine and for my dad's. But that yarn does have like a little bit of an itch factor for people who don't love woolly wools. So I decided to knit my mom's out of Rerum Natura Gilliatt, which is a 100% merino wool. It is like still has some of that kind of woolly sweater vibe, but it's not as, it doesn't have that kind of itch. Honestly, I was feeling it though, and like the Corey worsted does feel really good to me and feels really soft, and so I think it's just like because of the wooliness, it's just if it's going to give you the itch or not. But I don't expect this wool to give my mom like an itchy feeling at all. I'm looking forward to blocking it because I do think it'll soften up quite a bit. I'm a little worried at this point, like that she won't love the feel of it, and I'm wondering if I should have gone with something a little bit even softer than this, if I should have gone with something like a superwash merino. But I do think that for this sweater, I wanted it to be nice and lightweight. I didn't want it to be too heavy, too drapey, and so I think that going with the Gilliatt was the right call. But anyway, I wanted the finished measurements of a 4 because I used the Gilliatt, which is quite a bit heavier than the Corey worsted. Corey worsted, I'm going to say, honestly, like they market it as a worsted weight, but I think it's much closer to a DK weight. And I also think that Gilliatt is a little bit on the heavier side of worsted, or maybe it's closer to true worsted, but it's like quite a bit heavier than the Corey worsted. And so to get a fabric that I liked, I didn't want the fabric to be so dense to get gauge. So I ended up actually knitting a size 3 broad shoulder, and I got the measurements for the size 4. So, and that was less knitting for me as well. So I did end up going down 1 needle size, I believe. The pattern is written for a US 6 needle, and I knit this on a US 5, and I got the gauge math worked out perfectly so that I have the measurements of the size 4 broad shoulder, but I knit the numbers for the size 3 broad shoulder. I did make a couple of slight modifications for my mom as well, just based on what I believe her preferences to be. So I did lower the front neckline just a little bit because I know she doesn't like to have things like really up close on her neck. And I also thought for wool as well, that might be something she doesn't want to have like right up close to her neck. So the way that I did that, and there's some information, it's not like step-by-step walkthrough, but there is some information about like how to do this in the hacking guide that comes along with the pattern. But I basically just, for the left and right front pieces, I just knit longer for these pieces before joining the front. And that's pretty much it. Before joining like the left and front pieces right here underneath. And so that lowered that a little bit, and then I ended up picking up more stitches around the collar than I otherwise would have, like picking up more stitches around here for the collar, just because there was a little bit of extra length there as well. So I made that modification, and then I modified the arms slightly as well. The broad shoulder measurements, the broad shoulder sizing is based on, again, like a men's size chart, and men have, on average, like the sizing chart has longer arms than women do. And so I did go ahead and shorten the arms a little bit for my mom's sweater as well. So I just took out a little bit of length here, like at the beginning, and then I changed like the shaping a little bit at the end just to like make it come together a little bit quicker as well. So that was the only other slight modification, but otherwise it's done. I'm happy with it. I really hope that she likes it. She picked out this color, so I'm hoping that she loves the finished sweater. And that's it. I feel like that's all the information about it. I really do need to weave in the ends and block it, but I do have over a month before, or I guess right around a month before my parents come to visit, and I'm going to give it to her, so I'm not in a huge hurry. I'm just waiting until I get like some motivation to actually do that, and then I will do it. Like I have knit night with my friends, and that I feel like is a good time for me to like weave in ends and stuff. I don't know, it's like easier to motivate myself to do that when I'm just like sitting and chatting with friends. So okay, that's finished object 1. And then honestly, I don't think it really counts. This doesn't really count as a finished object, but I'm going to show it to you at this time anyway. So I think last time I did show you my stripey Christmas socks. That this was my Christmas Eve cast on last year. I cast these on Christmas Eve. So it's been like, I guess 6 weeks since I cast them on. And this yarn, the self-striping yarn, is from Nomadic yarns in the colorway Knitmas, and it's really, really pretty. Just like a really fun and bright and very like traditionally Christmas self-striping yarn. Really, really love it. So I had already finished the first kind of, I guess it's like a sock tube last time, and then in the last couple weeks I finished the other one. So I have both sock tubes done, and my plan for these is to do true afterthought heels. So like I did not put in waste yarn. I'm gonna be cutting my fabric and putting in the heel later. So I have not done that yet. So that's why they're not really finished, but I'm gonna say I'm putting this in the finished section because I think they're finished for now, because I don't think I'm gonna put the heels in for a while. Mostly because these are like Christmas socks and I'm probably not gonna wear them a ton until next like holiday season. And so I'm definitely not in a rush to get the heels in. But I did want to go ahead and like finish the tube knitting also because I am giving the rest of this self-striping yarn. So I ended up using, honestly, I think less than 50 grams for this. And they're not going to be like super tall socks, but I feel like they're going to be a nice length. I have like pretty small feet. But I'm going to give the rest of this self-striping yarn to my friend Maya, and she also knit, or is in the process of knitting, some self-striping socks that we cast on Christmas Eve together, and she is doing a different colorway, and so we're both planning to use like roughly 50 grams of the ones that we purchased, and then we're going to swap the rest, like the leftovers. So like I'm going to give her the rest of this one, and she's going to give me the rest of hers, and then we can knit the other colorway next holiday season. So I'm going to pass this off to her, and then I have the contrast color is I believe this is Winter from La Bien-Aimée, and I think this is the Merino Twist, which is a really cool base. It's a nice 2-ply sock yarn, 75/25, and we carry it at La Mercerie in some really fun colors too. But I just shared a skein of that with Jess from La Mercerie, who also knit these exact socks in this colorway as well. So lots of matching. And then, yeah, this is what I have left to put the heels in. So I guess not really a finished object, but I'm going to say finished for now because I'm not going to do anything with these probably for a while. Like maybe I'll get some motivation and some energy to work on them, but I don't know. I'm not really imagining that happening. So I did my sock gauge. Well, I'm learning that my gauge in general is pretty loose, but I think my sock gauge and like my small circumference gauge is really loose because I did these are 56 stitch socks on a US 0 needle. And they still are like probably a little bit big for my feet, but I just cannot bring it, I can't bring myself to use a 00 size needle like that. feels wild to me. So I won't go smaller than a 0. I guess I could do fewer stitches, but that also feels wild. So, so yeah, 56 stitches on a US 0 needle for me. But I would say if you have not knit socks and you're interested in knitting socks, please don't use me as like a template for how to knit your socks. I would not recommend the average person pick up a US size 0 needle and cast on 56 stitches for a sock, because I think your socks would be too small. I think it's more standard to do like 60 stitches on like a US 1 or 1.5. But I have a weird sock gauge, I guess. So that's my other like kind of finished object. And I think I told you all the colorway name is Knitmas. This is from Nomadic Yarns. Really beautiful color. Okay, now into my works in progress. So like I mentioned, I've been pretty monogamous on my knitting projects. I did like finish up that sock, and I've worked a little bit on another project, and then I'll show you after this where I have spent most of my knitting time. But I've showed this I think several times, and I've honestly not made that much progress, but I have been knitting a little bit on my Harlow Hat, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I am using Spincycle yarn. This is actually my first time using Spincycle yarn, and the Spincycle yarn makes me really excited to enter the world of hand spinning and like spinning my own yarn, just because I'm really loving working with this yarn. So the Harlow Hat is a 1x1 brioche rib hat. So it's a 2-color brioche. So there's like, this is the main color, is this like bluish, and then on the inside you can see the contrast color, and it kind of peeks through there as well. Like you can see it a little bit on either side, but yeah, it's basically just like a really basic 1x1 2-color brioche hat. I am using these 2 yarns. So the blue is, so these are both dyed in the wool, which is Spincycle's sport weight base. And so this one is called Leith, I think is how you say it, Leith. And this one is called Summer Love. And I thought they were just a beautiful pairing. Y'all know, I don't know if you know this, I've talked about this in the past, but if you haven't watched, you probably wouldn't know. But I'm telling you now, I'm obsessed with dark teal right now. I'm so obsessed. You're gonna see in some of my other projects that I have to talk about. I'm so in love with dark teal right now. Like everything I want to be dark teal. And I have knit a couple things in that kind of color before and loved them, but now I'm even like going all the way in. I don't know if it's like a winter vibe. I'm wanting like not warmer, but like darker, more like rich colors maybe, but I'm really, really loving dark teal right now. And so this project feels perfect. And then also the other project I'm working on right now too. And some of my spinning is also kind of that color. So I'm just really, really loving dark teal. And this hat I basically have just been working on in bed. My husband and I have been trying to get into a routine of reading a little bit together in bed, and I feel so lucky that he reads aloud to me while I knit. So we'll read a book together, and we're actually reading a book right now as part of my family does like a book club. And so we like all read the same book, and then we have like a certain I mean, y'all probably know how book clubs work. I don't need to explain the book club to you, and I think I've talked about it in the past, but basically like we read a section of the book and then we get on a video call and we talk about it, and it's very fun. But Nafis, my husband, and I are both reading the book for the book club, and so he will read aloud to me while I knit. So we'll get in bed at night and then he'll read aloud to me, and I have been working on this project in bed. So I've just been kind of leaving that in our bedroom and just pick it up for our evening reading time. So I've probably done, I don't know, since you last saw it, maybe I should put like while I'm thinking about it right now, I'm gonna put like a little progress keeper on so that next time I can show y'all where I was. Do I have one of those easily accessible? I don't know. But oh, also, how cute is this little Notions tin that has a whale on it? I don't know if I can see it, but really cute. I got this from La Mercerie. So if you also want one, we have some in like different, I want to say different outfits, but that's not the word, different like patterns. But I have this really cute whale one. Okay, and I do have a progress keeper here. But I just put like little, this is the one I stick in my bag when I'm going out and about. I just have it like in my project bag. And so I just have like a whole bunch of a variety of different stitch markers in there. I guess I can show you that too. I don't want them to fall out, but I just have some stitch markers in there, like some interlocking ones. I have like this progress keeper in there. And then like whatever I'm working on when I'm on the go, I have what I need. So I'm gonna just throw this on here so that I can show y'all next time how much progress I made. Maybe that'll motivate me too to make more progress. But and my progress keeper is a cute little fox. I think I got this as part of a Grenouille advent one year. But yeah, I think I only did like an inch or two maybe on this in the last, like since I last recorded, so not a ton. But okay, my mouth is already feeling dry and I'm sorry I keep having to drink. I feel like it's just dry outside and I'm like talking a lot and yeah. Okay, ooh, my stomach is rumbling as well and I am hungry. Okay. My next work in progress, I have been like obsessed with this knit. I've shared about it on Instagram. Y'all have probably seen it there. I think I talked about on the last episode that I was about to cast it on. I am loving working on this so much. Like, it's just been a dream to work on. And I think because of that, I have made so much progress. I'm really excited to show you. So I cast this on February 4th. My friend Maya and I are both knitting the sweater, and so we did a little cast on party after work one day and we cast on the sweater together. And so that was February 4th and today is February 15th. So it's been 11 days. And like, I know everyone is different and the pace that everyone knits is different, but this feels like a lot of progress for 11 days. Like, I don't know, I feel like I've made really good progress, but this is the Port sweater by Ozetta and I'm in love with it, and the color and the fabric and the pattern and everything about it is just an absolute dream. Like, I'm just loving it so much. So it's a top-down sweater. You cast on at the back and then you do some short rows on the back and then knit the back for a while and then you pick up and do the right and left fronts and then join them here and then keep going down. And then I have joined in the round as well. So I've done some of the body in the round, and then I also went ahead and picked up and knit the collar, which I'm realizing I probably should have put this on a barber cord so I could try it on and show you, but I'm not gonna do that right now because that's kind of a lot of work. But yeah, I'm really loving it. The yarn I'm using, I'm holding together two yarns to give me this beautiful fabric. This is, so this one is Rerum Natura Ulysse, which is a sport weight 100% merino wool. It's actually the same fiber content and everything as the yarn I used for my mom's sweater, but it's just a lighter weight. And then this one is a Suri alpaca and silk lace weight yarn from Grenouille, and the colorway for this one is Nacht Musik. And I think I didn't say the colorway for this one, I believe, is Cypres. I was a little worried that this yarn would be too light because I was really, this was the kind of the color I was going for, but I think they have paired together beautifully, and like, I'm just really loving the fabric it's making. So I'll show you a close-up of that too. This is kind of a close-up of the fabric. I think it's getting a little bit blown out, so it may not be showing up in the right color. I can try to, I don't know. I don't know how well it will do, but I guess that's kind of good. But the fabric is really beautiful. The hand-dyed Suri is giving it like a little bit of variegation and depth, which I think is really beautiful. You can see like there are some darker parts and lighter parts. and the fabric just feels incredible. I think that pairing the Suri with this yarn, which is like a really lightweight wool yarn, is making the sweater not so heavy. Like I feel like if I did all superwash yarns, if I held like a normal superwash DK weight yarn with the Suri, I think it would be really heavy and it would really kind of like sag down. But doing a much lighter weight wool with the Suri, I think is just, it's making a perfect fabric. It's so lightweight. It's really like squishy and bouncy and really, really soft. It feels amazing. And I could not love this more. I'm really, really loving this knit, and I think it's just going really fast. I'm knitting it on a US size 7 needle. The pattern actually does call for a US size 9 needle. And I guess this is just another indicator that I am a loose knitter. But I also think that my yarn weight may be a little bit different because the pattern calls for a worsted weight yarn, actually I think held with a lace. And I'm doing a sport weight yarn held with like, Suri is technically I think a lace, but it's like closer to a fingering weight yarn. And so like my yarn weight, like the combination of my yarns together may be a little bit lighter than the pattern calls for. But it's really funny because my friend Maya, who is also knitting this pattern, is doing it with just a worsted weight yarn, and she's a much tighter knitter, and so she's actually knitting it on a US size 10 needle, and I'm knitting it on a US size 7 needle, and we are getting the same gauge, which is just really funny and is a great example of how different people have very different gauge, and two people can use the exact same needles and the exact same yarn and still get super different gauge. So yeah, I'm knitting, this is the size 2 and my gauge is pretty much on, so I think I'm gonna get I think it's gonna be close to 10 inches of positive ease, so it's gonna be a really nice oversized sweater. It may be a little less than that, like in the 8 to 10 inches of positive ease range. It is a drop shoulder pattern, and it has this really cool like ribbed detail on the side where the drop shoulder is, and so I'll pick up around there for the sleeves when I'm ready for that. And also the body, like I only have to do another like maybe inch or 2 on the body before I switch to ribbing, because there's a really long ribbing on the bottom of the body and then really long ribbing on the end of the sleeves as well. And my goal actually is to finish this before I go to Rose City Yarn Crawl, which is at the end of February. And Maya and I are going together, and so we were kind of hoping that we could finish our sweaters and like wear them to Rose City Yarn Crawl. So I have just over a week. I guess today is Wednesday, so I have like, I don't know, 11 days or something, but I do want to give it time to block as well. So my hope is that by the end of this week, so by Friday, I would like to finish the body, and then I'll have a week for the sleeves. I know I can be quoted as saying that you can knit a sleeve in a day, and I think that's true, but I do want to give myself maybe a little bit more time than that, just in case it takes longer. But it is like a pretty large gauge, and it's drop shoulder, so the sleeves are a little bit shorter because of that. So I think there's a really, like if I had a full day of knitting, I think this is the type of sleeve that I could knit one in a day, like no problem. So maybe I don't need to finish the body by Friday. Maybe I have more time than that. And then I'm hoping to have it done by next Friday so that I can give it a good wash and block and have it ready to wear on Sunday, because that's when we're gonna head to Portland. And if you're unfamiliar, the Rose City Yarn Crawl is just a yarn store crawl in the Portland, Oregon area. Happens every year toward the end of February. And since I'm in Seattle, it's like not a huge drive, and so we're actually just gonna go down for one day. Just drive down and visit some yarn shops and then head back up to Seattle. So that is the plan. But yeah, that's all my works in progress. I basically have just been working on port for the most part. I've worked like a little bit on other things. I swatched for something new, which I can talk to you about now as well. I mentioned last time I'd gotten some yarn for a new design, and so I did go ahead and swatch for that. So this is my swatch in Pearl Soho Linen Quill for my new design, and my plan is to cast that on pretty soon. I may try to finish port first and then cast it on, but I will definitely cast it on in the next like week or two. But it's going to be a really fun kind of summer project. And I think this yarn is perfect for it. It's like really nice and drapey. This color is turmeric yellow, which is actually left over from my Brioche Delicious shawl that I knit last year. I guess last January is when I finished it. And I really love the fabric. Like, it's really nice and drapey, lightweight. This yarn is a combination of wool, alpaca, and linen. And so you can see like the little lighter flecks in the yarn, I think, are the linen bits. And I think the alpaca gives it a really nice drape. The linen gives it a little bit of like a lighter weight feel, I think. And yeah, I think it'll be a really good yarn for this project that I have in mind. So I won't say too much more about that because I'm still trying to figure out all the specifics of the design, but I did swatch for it and I blocked my swatch as well. I am much more dedicated to doing all the right things when it's for a design. When I'm just like knitting someone else's pattern and I'm doing it for myself, like I'll be like, okay, I'll just like swatch a little bit and then I'll pull it out and I'll cast on and whatever. But like for a design, it's really important that I have a really clear idea of the gauge before I get started. And that I really like the fabric and everything. And so I do stick to the process just a little bit better when I'm doing designs. So I did knit my swatch and I've got all my yarn in this bag ready to cast on whenever I feel that like burst of inspiration is when I will just probably cast this on. So I have that. And that's pretty much it for yarn stuff. I didn't really have any yarn acquisitions. I do have a non-yarn acquisition, which is, I don't know, it's kind of funny, but I bought a new bottle of wool wash. So if you're like a knitter, or if you make things out of yarn, you know probably the importance of like washing and blocking your knits. And I had bought, close to when I started knitting, I bought a large bottle of wool wash years ago. It was Euclid was the brand that I had before, and I think I had the grapefruit scent, which I liked, but I actually finished my large bottle of wool wash, which felt like such an achievement. Like, wow, I've knit a lot of stuff if I finished a large bottle of wool wash. So I decided to try something new, and I actually had gotten a variety pack of the little tiny, like the little single doses, I guess, like travel packs of the Soak brand. I'd heard a lot of really good things about the Soak brand. People had recommended it to me. And so I decided to get, I wasn't sure what scent I would want. So I decided to get one of those like multi-variety packs. And then I was just trying them out. I also like took some when I was traveling because I didn't, just wanted to carry a small amount. So I tried those out, and I tried out all the different scents, and I picked a scent that I loved, and then I bought a full bottle. So my acquisition this week is my new wool wash. This is actually a new scent, apparently. I don't know when they made this scent, but it is called Wild Mint, and I really like it. There are some other scents that I like too, like I like the pineapple one, but I thought this was a good scent that would go well with like all kinds of projects. So Soak Wild Mint, that is my acquisition for this episode. Okay, and then the other stuff I have to talk about is all my spinning. So I talked last episode about how I think I showed you all my drop spindling, and I talked about how I was gonna go to take a class on wheel spinning. and hopefully start renting a wheel. And I have done that, and I have spun some yarn, and I have fallen absolutely in love with it. Like, I love it so much. I'm thinking about it all the time, and I'm spending so much of my time spinning and like chatting with others and watching videos about spinning, and I'm just like, I have fallen headfirst into the world of hand spinning yarn, and I really, really love it. So I wanted to show you all what I have made. So first, I'll tell you, I'm very new to this, so I don't know all of the terminology like how to use the terminology properly, and I don't know, I'm probably gonna mess stuff up, and I'm gonna leave out stuff. So, I mean, you can drop any questions you have, and I can try to help answer them. If I don't answer, like, say the right things or answer them properly in the podcast episode, but I'm gonna do my best. And I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'm really excited to learn. So, first of all, I have been spinning on a Ashford Kiwi 2, and I am renting this wheel right now from Northwest Yarns up in Bellingham, and that is where I took my spinning class. And I'm really enjoying it. It's a double treadle wheel, which means, for those that don't know, when you are spinning yarn on a wheel, you have to like make the wheel go, and there are electronic spinners, or like e-spinners, or there are treadle spinners or treadle wheels where you pedal to make the wheel turn. And that wheel turning is what puts spin and twist into your yarn. And there are single treadle wheels where you just have one foot and you pedal like this, or there are double treadle wheels where you pedal with both feet. And I knew that I was really interested in having a double treadle wheel. I wanted to be pedaling with both of my feet, just because I thought that would be more comfortable for me. And I also like didn't want the wheel to have to be off to the side. Like, I wanted it to all be kind of like in front of me. And so I am renting a double treadle wheel, the Ashford Kiwi. I'm pointing this way because it's like right over here, and I will probably show the wheel at some point in another episode, but probably not today because it's kind of tucked away and I'm all set up and everything. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I went to my class. It like definitely steep learning curve getting started. I kept breaking the yarn at first, but the first class I went to, so I had 2 sessions, 1 week apart. In the first session, we learned how to spin singles. In the second session, we learned how to ply our yarn. And so only did a little bit of fiber for class, and then I actually had some other fiber that I had been practicing drop spindling with, and then now that I have started doing the wheel, I don't want to drop spindle anymore, so I used the rest of that fiber as well and have been spinning that up too, and so I can show you all of that. So this is my first yarn that I made from class, and it's so uneven and so bad. So the very first singles I ever did was this gray one, and I think it's like an alpaca mohair something blend. I don't even remember exactly. And then the white one is a merino wool, and that one was my second single. And so the white one is actually a little bit better, but the gray one is like really, really thick and thin and overspun at parts and like really, yeah, really bad. But I did ply this together and I did make yarn. So this is like just a tiny little mini skein that I made. This is what I made in class. I actually had more of the white because I spun it quite a bit finer. And so I also, in my class, spun this yarn, which I learned how to chain ply, which this, if you don't know about spinning, you probably don't know what that means, and I'm honestly not even gonna try to explain what it means, but it's just a different plying technique. So this is like a standard ply, and this one was a chain ply, and so I just have like a little bit of the white that I chain plied as well. So this is my class yarn, and then I had spun some more singles during the week in between my 2 classes. I got through my class singles and my spinning for class really quickly, like the day that I brought my wheel home. And so I wanted to practice more, and I really was excited by it. So I spun up some singles in this other fiber I had, and it's a BFL fiber that I got from Wee Chickadee, which is a fiber dyer. She has like an Etsy shop that I purchased from, but I also have, like, you can check out her fiber and everything on Instagram as well, and I'll try to link her information below. But I spun the singles, and then I didn't spin up all the fiber. I just spun up whatever I could before I went to my second class. And then I wound it off into a center pole ball, and then I actually plied from the center pole ball. And for those of you that spin, that probably makes sense. And if you don't, that may be confusing, or all of this is probably confusing if you don't know about spinning. And it's still kind of confusing to me. But basically, instead of having like 2 bobbins, so like this is a bobbin that I have my yarn on, instead of having 2 bobbins that I was pulling the 2 strands off of and plying from there, and plying is just, I don't know how much to explain this, but plying is just like taking your 2 singles. So singles is like what you originally spin from the fiber, is you just spin like a single ply yarn. Then you ply them together by basically like sticking them together and twisting them the other way, and it like makes a really beautiful and balanced yarn. So anyway, I had just wound my wee chickadee singles off into a center pole ball, and then I just pulled 1 strand from the center of the ball and 1 strand from the outside, and I plied it together that way through my wheel. And so I did a little bit of that in class. The teacher at my class taught me how to do that as well, how to ply from a center pole ball. And so this is my wee chickadee yarn. So you can tell it's definitely better than this one, but still I think there's a lot to be desired in terms of consistency. There is like parts that are definitely too twisty, like too overspun, and there are parts that are thick, and there are parts that are really thin. And so I don't know, I feel like I need to take a step back and first say that like I'm really proud of this. I'm really, really proud of it. Regardless of all the things that I noticed that could be improved, I did make this, and it is yarn, and I'm really, really proud of that. So that is where I will start, and I should have started there. It's hard not to go right into all the things that I want to do better, but I am really proud of it. And yeah, after I applied this, I did actually like wash and dry, and I feel like it really settled in nicely. And I don't know if I will knit with this. Like, these may be just like little yarn pets that I keep to remember the beginning of my spinning journey. I don't think I will knit with them, but my goal is that the next project, my next spinning project, is one that I am gonna actually knit with. And so I had, like I mentioned, I didn't spin all of the wee chickadee into singles before my second class, so this is just part of it. So I had some more. So after I came back from my second class and I finished plying everything, I was excited to spin some more singles. And so this was actually yesterday. I spent some time spinning more singles, and I wanted to show you all those because I feel like I'm getting so much better. And so this is my bobbin with my next set of singles from the wee chickadee fiber, and this is just the end. It's kind of fluffy, but yeah, I feel like it's getting way better. I'm able to spin at a much finer weight, my singles, and it's also way more consistent. And I'm really, really happy with it, and I'm proud of my progress, and I'm just having the best time learning so much. And I feel like every single time I sit down at the wheel and I spin, I'm so much better than the last time I did it. And I think being able to see the progress that significantly, that quickly, is a really, really exciting thing. I'm definitely at the steepest part of the learning curve right now, and I know after a while it's gonna kind of taper off and I'm gonna be like settled in and everything. But it's really, really exciting right now because every single time I do it, I can, like, it's so noticeable. I can see the improvement. I can see how much better I'm getting. And I think it's just like, sometimes it's not even me purposefully telling myself, okay, you need to do this differently, or like, this is the problem from last time and you need to make this adjustment or this improvement. Sometimes it's just, I feel like my hands just need time to figure out what to do. And it's really, really fun and satisfying to just like let my hands figure it out. And I think I've done a little bit of like watching other people spin. I started watching some YouTube videos. I cannot recommend Tazhi from, she's Stitches and Starlight on, it's either Tangles and Starlight or Stitches and Starlight. One of them she is on Instagram and one of them she is on YouTube, and I don't remember which one. But I started watching some of her videos, and honestly, like, the way she talks about spinning, the love and joy you can see that she has for it is just like so contagious, and it makes me so excited as well. But she's also just like an incredible wealth of knowledge, and just watching her spin, I feel like I've learned so much. Just like sitting and watching her spin, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the way that she does that. And like, it's made me think a lot about the way that I am drafting and changes that I can make or things that I can try to see like what feels natural to me. And it's just been really, really fun. So yeah, I don't know. I have this like almost giddiness, I think, from learning something new and trying something new. I was talking to my husband about this last night, that like it feels to me I'm remembering when I was a new knitter, when I just started to learn how to knit, and at first it feels so like uncomfortable, and like you're just kind of fumbling around and your hands don't know what to do and you're making mistakes and it looks bad, and then like you get to a point where it just becomes like it clicks, you know, and it becomes second nature and you can do it without thinking about it, without looking. And that process, I just like experiencing that again is really, really fun, and I'm just really, really loving. I'm a person that I really love to learn new things. I have a lot of anxiety about learning new things. Like, I don't like to be bad at things for sure. And so like there's that level of anxiety and discomfort that I'm having with this, but also just the feeling of getting better and learning something new. And every time I think about like, oh my gosh, 2 weeks ago, I had no idea how to do this. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting down at the wheel and like I couldn't even get it to go because my fiber kept breaking. And now like I made this, like I spun this myself. And that just feels really, really good. I don't know, like there's something about it that I can't even put into words. Just this like joy and excitement for like the love I have for my mind and my body and what it's capable of. Like, how cool is it that I can tell my brain like, okay, or my brain can tell me, or whatever, like whoever is talking to whoever in this analogy, but like my brain, I just tell myself like, okay, spin this yarn. And of course there's like more to it than that, but like I don't have specifics for what to do with my hands or like how to do it or whatever. Like I have some, but for the most part, my hands and my body are just figuring it out. Just like figuring it out. And that feels like magic. Like it feels, I don't know, it's just like a really incredible feeling, and like human mind and body are like amazing to me. And I'm sorry I'm getting like emotional and like existential and like I don't know, crazy about this, but I just really love it. I love learning something new. I love watching my body figure it out. I am so proud of what I've made so far. I'm so excited to see what I'm gonna make next. And yeah, I'm just really loving it. And so that's where a lot of my time has been going to. I can't spin for too long because I'm still really tense, but I've just been listening to audio podcasts and sitting down, and I'll spin for like, I did the longest spin yet yesterday, and it was about an hour. And by the end of it, my fingers were so sore. Like my hand that does drafting, these like 2 fingers were so sore. And so I'm hoping that the more I do it, I'll relax a little bit and it won't hurt so much. But by then, yeah, my fingers are really sore. I'm doing a little bit of a better job, I think, relaxing my body so that my body isn't holding so much tension when I'm spinning. And I know that all of this stuff is just gonna take time and practice. So I actually was able to spin for about an hour yesterday without, like a session of about an hour long, without having to like stop for a significant period of time. Before that, I had only been able to do shorter sessions, like 20 to 30 minutes, because my body was so tense. And so, so I haven't done it like a ton, but I've been spinning almost every day, at least a little bit. And I'm just really loving it. I'm really loving it. And I already have plans for my next project. So I'd heard or read or watched someone say that you're supposed to let your singles rest for a day or two at least before plying them, and that'll just make the plying process go a little bit better. I don't know the science behind that. I don't know if that's even true, but I heard that, and so I'm trying to do it. I really wanted to ply this like right away when I finished it yesterday, but I was like, Emily, you need to at least wait one day. And so now I'm thinking I'm gonna wait, and I'll probably ply this together on Friday. Today's Wednesday. So I'm gonna try to ply this on Friday, and then in the meantime, I got some more fiber from Northwest Wools or Northwest Yarns when I was there. I got these two. So this gray one is a BFL. So it's the same fiber content as the Wee Chickadee. It's just a BFL. And then I also got this white, which is a merino, and it feels really, really good. I'm a little nervous about spinning this though. I think that the white that I did for this one was also merino. So I think I can do it, but I'm nervous it's gonna be really slippery and it's gonna slip out of my fingers a lot, but we'll see. But the plan is I want to spin these two into singles separately, and then I want to ply them together, and my hope is that I get enough yarn from that and at a consistent enough weight, thickness, that I want to knit it. And the goal is just to make a hat with that yarn. So that is my goal for the first yarn I want to knit with. We'll see. I definitely think I'm getting better, so I think I could be like approaching the point where I feel ready to knit with the yarn I'm spinning. So we'll see, but that's my next project. So today I'm probably gonna start with the BFL just because I think it'll be a little bit easier because I've already spun BFL before, and I think it's a little bit easier for a beginner spinner than merino. So I'm gonna start with the BFL probably today, this afternoon, and go from there, see how much I get through. I need to clear off some of my bobbins before I do that. So yeah, that's that. That's spinning. That is what has been taking over my time, and my energy and my excitement has been spinning. So I'm sorry if that was like really boring or like annoying for those of you that don't spin. I know most of the time I talk mostly about knitting, and I'm still gonna do that, but I am probably gonna start sharing about the spinning here because I'm really loving it and it's giving me a lot of energy and excitement, and hopefully y'all can see that as well. And so I am gonna probably start talking about that. I think I'll probably continue to mostly talk about the knitting stuff, and I'll do that first, of course. So if you don't wanna hear about the spinning stuff, you can skip ahead or like stop watching at that point, but I am gonna try to talk about the spinning a little bit as well because it's giving me a lot of energy. So okay, that's it for like projects and yarn stuff. I talked about my wool wash acquisition. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about some La Mercerie stuff. There's some really fun stuff I wanted to chat with you all about. First off, we at La Mercerie, which if you're new, La Mercerie is the yarn store that I work at, and I'm there a couple days a week. And there's some really, really fun stuff upcoming at La Mercerie that I wanted to tell you about. One is that we are now offering classes. So just in person for now. So unfortunately only available to folks that are in the area or like willing to travel for a class, I guess. But we have 3 classes to start, and like multiple date offerings for those classes, but we're doing an intro to knitting class. We are doing a socks class, learn how to knit socks. And then I am also teaching one of the classes. I'm teaching a knitting math class. So this class is gonna go all over like gauge and how your needle size and your yarn weight affect your gauge, and how to adjust if you don't have gauge for a pattern, like what to do, how to make sure that your garments and your projects end up the way that you want them to. Yeah, all about gauge and knitting math and making adjustments, and it's gonna be really fun. We're doing it, I'm doing one once a month, March, April, and May so far is like what we have scheduled out. And so if you're in the area and you want to come and like hang out with me and talk to me about knitting math, I'd love for you to do that. So they're on, I don't remember the exact dates. I'll link the website below so you can go and check it out, but it's on Thursdays from 4 to 5. So I know that's sometimes a tricky time for folks who like have traditional like 9 to 5 jobs, but yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. We may be able to offer it another time at some point in the future, but I'm really excited about it. And teaching is something that like I've done a little bit, not necessarily in this space, but like in other spaces. I've done like a little bit of just like helping folks, teaching folks how to do things. But I'm really excited to pass on like whatever information I have and like knowledge I have to try to help others with their knitting and with their projects. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. And also the other classes. I won't be teaching the other ones, but you can still come, and like if you don't know how to knit and you want to learn to knit, you should definitely come and check out our intro to knitting class. And socks, I know, is like a really scary thing for a lot of knitters, is like jumping into the world of sock knitting. So that will be a really fun one too if you want to check that out. Okay, also early March, we have a really exciting pop-up coming to La Mercerie. Explore Knits and Fibers is coming March 4th. It's a Saturday. I will be there, and you should also come if you're in the area, or if you're not in the area and you want to travel for it, you should come. It's going to be really great. Allie from Explore Knits has put together an incredible collection of yarns that are inspired by the Seattle area and the Pacific Northwest. Really, really stunning. Y'all are going to want to see this yarn. It's going to be amazing. So March 4th, you should come and hang out. We'll be there all day. And like Allie will be there, and Darren and the Explore Knits team. And yeah, so we have that. And then I think I've talked about this before, but just a reminder that we're putting on a massive fiber festival in August in Seattle called Flock Fiber Festival. And I have been starting to do a lot more work on that project in the last like couple of weeks. And so I just wanted to share about that because it's coming together and it's really exciting. We're going to have some incredible vendors. It's going to be really fun. August in Seattle is also just like an incredible time of year to come and visit. So you should consider it if you are into yarn and fiber festivals. And yeah, it's going to be really fun. So that's the fun stuff we have upcoming at La Mercerie. Otherwise, yeah, if you're in the area and you want to come by, I'm there on Thursdays and Saturdays, and would love to see you and talk to you about yarn. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So other life stuff, I talked a little bit about our reading for book club. We're reading right now The Martian by Andy, is it Andy Weir? I think is how you say it. And I'm really enjoying that. I've actually watched the movie already, but it was a while ago and I don't really remember. Like I remember generally, but I don't remember the specifics of stuff that happened. And I also have no idea like how closely it follows the book. So we're reading the book and then I think we're gonna watch the movie again afterward. But that I'm really enjoying. He also wrote another book that we're thinking about reading next, Project Hail Mary, which I've heard from other folks that have read it, that it's a really great book. And so I think we're gonna read that one next. But for those of you who don't know, it's like a sci-fi. This guy is basically left on Mars and has to like keep himself alive, is the Martian. And yeah, there's a movie with Matt Damon that I also remember liking. So yeah, otherwise, as far as like food stuff goes, if you're interested in what we've been making for brunch and eating in the last couple of weeks, we just did biscuits and gravy for brunch, which is a classic in our household. We love a good biscuits and gravy. I will always make biscuits and Nafis makes gravy, and it's super tasty. So we just did that, and we're already thinking like, when should we make that again? Like that is very good. And then I think this weekend we're gonna do, I had frozen some dough when I last made sourdough cruffins, which I think I've talked about on here before. It's a sourdough enriched laminated dough that you shape into like a little swirly croissant style shape and then put it in a muffin tin. So it makes like a little croissant muffin or a cruffin. And then after it's done baking, coat it in cinnamon sugar, and it's so tasty. And so I had saved like frozen some dough because last time we just made a half batch. So I have the other half batch of dough and we're probably gonna make that for brunch and like with some eggs and stuff for this weekend. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, and so we made, like, Nafis and I just did kind of like a date night at home, and so we made dinner together, and then we also baked some thumbprint cookies, some jam thumbprint cookies. A lot of the stuff we've been, like cookies and stuff we have been baking have been from the Perfect Cookie book by America's Test Kitchen. It's a book that my Grammy gave me a while ago, and so we've been working through like some of the recipes in there, and these thumbprint cookies were from that book as well, and they were super good. The cookie, it's not a shortbread, I guess, because of course Nafis and I went down the rabbit hole of learning what a shortbread dough technically is made up of. So it's not a shortbread, but it has that kind of taste and flavor, like a very buttery kind of like crumbly cookie, and then just like you put a little bit of jam in the middle, and they were really tasty. We had a whole bunch of different types of jam, so we made like 4 different types of jam thumbprint cookies, and super tasty. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been cold here, so we've been wanting to make like warm, creamy, soupy meals, I feel like soups and creamy chickens and that kind of stuff, pastas. And then, yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it. I have also, for those that remember when I had a baseball segment of this podcast episode, which was like forever ago, I have been listening to, especially when I've been spinning, but I also listen like when I'm commuting to work, like when I'm on the ferry and on the bus and stuff, there's a baseball podcast that I really love, and so anyone who loves baseball, I have a baseball podcast to recommend to you, called Effectively Wild, which is very, very fun. They do 3 episodes a week, and they have definitely kind of like a mathematical, like analytical, data-driven slant, which I personally love because that's my favorite way of just interacting with the baseball world, is from like a data and analytics lens. And they started their season preview series, so they basically just go through and talk to specialists, or they're called beat writers, but like basically journalists who specialize on and like cover a specific team. They go through and they talk to one of those folks from each of the 30 baseball teams before the season starts, and they ask them lots of questions, and so you get a good idea of like what each team is going to look like going into the season. And so my dad and I have both been listening to the season preview series and then like chatting about it a little bit after we listen to the episode. So I've been doing that and listening to that, especially when I've been spinning, and that's been really nice. And yeah, I mean, spring training is about to start. Pitchers and catchers have already reported, and so I'm ready for baseball season. We watched the Super Bowl last week. I'm not a huge football person, but I do like follow closely enough, play fantasy football and stuff, and so we did watch the Super Bowl. My husband in office is mourning the loss of the football season, and I am like, this just means we're closer to baseball. So I am looking forward to baseball season. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like, I don't know, I'm trying to think about what we've been up to, but a lot of it's just been usual stuff, knitting and spinning and cooking. And yeah, as the weather starts to get better, I think we're going to try to get outside more, do hikes a little more, and like go places and do things. But right now we're just kind of hanging out inside a lot of the time and trying to stay warm, drinking lots of tea. So thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed getting back and chatting with you all. And if you have any thoughts about if you spin, or if you want to start spinning, or if you have any other thoughts about it, let me know. I'm really open to learning new things. And so if you have like spinning resources that you want to pass along, or if you have things that you wonder about that we could figure out together, like I would love to hear that from you. And also just, I hope you're enjoying your crafting right now. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you do lots of knitting and spinning and watch lots of baseball, and have a great week. Bye.